Well, some pretty strong accusations. So how are those on the right responding? Congressman Hensarling is a Republican from Texas. He sits on the House Budget and Financial Services Committee, and he's my guest now. Good morning, Congressman.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Wow, well, misinformation and lies from Republicans in Congress, from cable talk show hosts, from radio talk show hosts. You fall into one of those categories, sir. How do you respond?
Well, I don't think the president could quite figure out last night whether he wanted to call us names or whether he wanted to actually sit down and negotiate with us in good faith to solve the health care problems of America. It was not a particularly helpful tone. And the bottom line is that in government-run systems, be it in Canada or the UK, people literally do die waiting in line for health care. Now, I know that's not the purpose. I know that's not the intent. But ultimately, that's what happens. And that's why you've had such a hue and cry from the American people. Don't take control of our government health care. And the president's listening to different Americans than I am because he still left that option on the table.
All right. So that's the so-called, that's you addressing the so-called death panels thing that President Obama was talking about. He also took issue with the Republicans criticizing him for providing insurance for illegals, and he said, you know, we are not doing that. Your response to that, is that still, are you still maintaining, is anybody maintaining that illegals are in any way covered by any of the proposals from Democrats?
Well, absolutely. And again, I'm not questioning their purpose and their intent. But what they've done is, on the one hand, they say, well, illegal immigrants cannot get this health care. On the other hand, they take away any verification of citizenship. Republicans in the committees that had jurisdiction over this offered an amendments to say if you're going to get government benefits, at least prove you're an American citizen, voted down on a party line. I mean, it's kind of like saying speeding is illegal, but we're going to take away the cops' radar guns and we're going to take away their cruisers.
So what,
I mean,
so
as
what
a
would somebody have
matter,
to do? This is an interesting point, Congressman. So if an illegal is here in this country and says, ooh, government-run health care sounds good to me, I could use that, what does he have to show to get it? No citizens papers, no green card, nothing?
Well, that would appear to be the case. And if the language is ambiguous, Republicans are trying to ensure that it's not ambiguous. Again, we've offered amendments. I would say right now, under the bill as I understand it, you basically go and say, hey, I'm an American, give me the benefits. I want to make it very clear, you know, any illegal immigrant, any human being walks into an emergency room, has a legitimate emergency, we're going to take care of them. But you can't have this magnet of free health care or subsidized health care and expect to do anything about illegal immigration. So again, saying that you can't do it and then taking away the enforcement mechanism, with all due respect to the president, he may believe it, but the American people don't believe it.
Now, what about, he did try to reach out across the aisle on a couple of points, in particular tort reform, which has been a big one for the Republicans and for a lot of American citizens who realize you got to stop the lawsuits by these plaintiffs' lawyers against all the doctors. It's driving up their costs, it's making insurance unaffordable for them, and so on and so forth. The president finally last night really did say that he's at least going to push for states to look at this, experiments he was asking for in certain states to see what could be done. Is that enough for you?
Well, it's funny, and listen, I'm happy to hear the president say it. House Republicans have been trying to meet with the president since May to take him up on this offer to negotiate in good faith. Here's the bottom line. You talk to any doctor in America, they'll tell you somewhere between a quarter and a third of the medicine they practice is defensive medicine in fear of frivolous lawsuits. If you want to really have cost savings, you would have a real medical liability reform legislation. And so there's so much the president puts in his bill. What we heard last night is, well, I'm at least willing to study the other idea. It's not exactly meeting us halfway, but I guess it's taking one baby step in the direction to admit that possibly there are such a thing as frivolous lawsuits. But given the fact that the personal injury trial attorneys are such a huge part of the financial base of the Democratic Party, I'm having a hard time believing at the end of the day it makes its way into the law.
Well, and you even had, you know, Howard Dean coming out and saying, look, that's the reason it's not in the bill. It's the plaintiff's trial bar is too strong and too important, and that's in a moment of honesty. He really said, you know, that was the deal. Let me ask you this before I let you go, sir. You know, people were saying that President Obama needed a Hail Mary last night to change his poll numbers on this, to change the American people's views on this, and even to get over some moderate lawmakers onto his side with respect to this bill. Did he do it?
Oh, I don't think so. Listen, what I heard from the American people, particularly over the last couple of months, was an intensity and an overwhelming force that they do not want government getting between them, their families, and their doctor. And I don't think the president heard that message. And listen, the president is a great speaker. I believe all his intentions are good. But the bottom line is the speech he gave last night is frankly a little different from 100 speeches he's given over the past few months. He just had a little larger megaphone last night than usual.
You know, as you're speaking, sir, you can't see the monitor, but we're running a lower third that says awaiting the president's remarks on health care reform. Getting word now this morning that he is going to come back at it again this morning, making additional remarks at 10:15 Eastern Time. We'll see whether that means the president thinks he got it done last night. Congressman Jeb Hensarling, thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you.
And folks, we'd love to know what you thought about the speech. You can go to our website.